Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you everything I ate in a day as a vegan with some summer inspired recipes. So let's get to it. Starting out with breakfast, this has been my recent smoothie obsession. I've been on a smoothie kick because it's nice and warm outside. I just want something, nice and cooling for breakfast. So I make this chocolate cherry smoothie. We're going to start by adding some frozen cherries to a blender along with a cup of non-dairy milk. I'm using soy milk. We're also going to add some cacao powder and some almond butter. The flavor of almond, chocolate, and cherries goes really, really well together. And then the secret is to also add a little bit of almond extract. This really helps the cherry flavor to pop. So then there I just added some chocolate flavored protein powder. That's optional. If you want to leave it out, you can. Then you're just going to blend everything together until it's nice and creamy. So I love the consistency of this smoothie. It's super thick. It honestly tastes like I'm eating dessert for breakfast, and I'm obsessed with cherries. So as soon as they're available in the summer, I am all for them. I gotta enjoy that short season while it lasts. So then for lunch, I made myself a Vietnamese inspired rice noodle bowl. We had made some rice noodle wraps a few days ago and I had some leftovers, so I just wanted to use them up for my lunch. So I'm starting out by using some vermicelli noodles. These are really, really thin rice noodles. I just mush them into a bowl, and the awesome thing about these noodles is you don't even have to heat them up on the stove. I just heated up some water to a boil in my electric pot, and then you just pour it over the noodles, and the noodles are nice and thin, so they cook really, really quickly. So once all of the noodles are submerged, you're just going to cover them and let them sit for around 3 to 5 minutes. I had already prepped all my toppings, so I just covered it with a plate with all my toppings, and now I can show you what else I'm adding. I thinly sliced some cucumber, some carrot, and then I also have some Thai basil and Vietnamese perilla here. It's so, so good. So while the noodles were soaking, I went ahead and made a dressing. I just sort of eyeballed everything. So I put some low sodium tamari into a bowl, probably between 1 and 2 tablespoons. Then I also added a splash of unseasoned rice vinegar, a tiny drop of sesame oil, and then some chili oil as well. More of like the chili part of the chili oil. I like to chew on it. It has a nice like fermented funky flavor. So I just whisked all of that together. And then once my noodles were nice and cooked, this is what they're gonna look like in general. As you can see, they're nice, soft, cooked. You can run a fork through them. So this was a great like one bowl-ish lunch because I just drained the noodles through a strainer, put them back in the same bowl, and then I added my toppings. So we got our cucumber, our carrot, and then here I'm adding some of my Chinese 5-spiced braised tofu that I also had left over in the fridge. I think the flavor of that really complements the rice noodle bowl well. So I mix that a little bit. As you can see, I'm pouring my dressing on now, and then I'm just topping it with my fresh herbs, which I'll mix in later. This is like my ideal summer lunch because it's cold and refreshing. It takes minimal time to put together, and the herbs add a nice pop, while the crunchy vegetables add some nice texture. Tofu adds some spice. It's just like so good. You gotta try it. So then in the afternoon, I had a snack. I had a small handful of some deglet or dates, and then I split a bottle of kombucha with my fiance Dylan. This is strawberry kombucha, and it's my recent obsession. Also very spring/summery. And then I also filmed a recipe video for these no-bake almond butter bars. The recipe's already on my blog if you want to check them out. But I had to film a few bite shots for my photos and videos, so I did have a few bites of those as a snack as well. Full disclosure. So now moving on to dinner, I decided to make my vegan summer corn chowder. I love this recipe. It's smoky, it's creamy, it makes great use of summer corn, and you gotta try it. So we're gonna start, I somehow forgot to film this, by adding our corn kernels into a pot. You can use frozen corn, but fresh does taste a little better. So right now I have the pot over medium-high heat, and as you can see, there's already some browning at the bottom of the pan, but we're not gonna add any oil. We're just basically cooking off the moisture from the corn. And over time, we're going to get some brown seasoned bits in the bottom of our pan as our corn cooks down. And this is going to add a nice seared, almost caramelized flavor to our corn. So doing this before we add the other ingredients really helps to give this soup some oomph and depth of flavor, and it also really enhances the flavor of the corn. So as you can see, you're just going to keep stirring occasionally. The corn's going to turn a little bit darker in color. We're starting to get more buildup on the bottom of the pot, so you can see there. Once it gets to about this level, or it's been like 8 to 10 minutes, we're going to deglaze the pan with some water. So the water is going to interact with the stuff on the bottom of the pot, and you're just going to use a firm spoon to scrape it off. As you can see, if you're using a non-stick surface, which you need to for this recipe, it comes off nice and easy. And then it just sort of adheres to the corn. So the corn gets a little bit darker in color. We get some nice color on our corn, get lots of flavor, lots of yum, and it's definitely worth the extra time to do it. Game changer, I promise. So after our corn is nice and seared away, we're going to add in some diced red onion, some diced red bell pepper, and some diced jalapeno. You can remove the seeds if you don't like things spicy. We're also adding in some garlic, some cilantro stems, and a little bit of smoked paprika for some more smoky depth of flavor. So now we're just going to mix everything together and cook this off for a little bit until the onion turns translucent. Then we're going to add in our diced potatoes. The recipe calls for gold potatoes, but I only had red potatoes and that will work too. Then we're adding in some vegetable broth, and the original recipe calls for cream cheese, but I also have in the recipe notes that if you want to, you can just blend some of the vegetable broth with soaked cashews. My camera went haywire, didn't record it, but you get that one cashew there. So you're just going to blend that up in a bowl blender until it forms a nice sort of vegetable broth cream, I suppose. We basically just want the cashews nice and blended into the sauce. So we're going to add that to the pot. If you have cream cheese, you would just stir it in as well. Then we're just going to mix everything together. And once that's all fine and dandy, we're gonna bring it to a boil. So once it's boiling, you can go ahead and reduce the heat to a simmer, and you're just going to stir it occasionally. We're going to cook until the potatoes are nice and tender. And as you can see, the soup will have this gorgeous sort of yellowy color to it. So then now to make our soup even creamier, we're going to blend half of it. I recently invested in an immersion blender and it's really nice. Or you can just transfer half the soup to a blender and then blend it and mix it back in. If the soup is too thick for you, you can thin it out with more vegetable broth or water, but I personally like my chowder to be nice and thick, so this was a perfect consistency for me. I also wanted to have a sort of salad on the side with our soup, so we had some fresh kale from our garden, and I just de-stemmed it, and I made a really simple salad. I'm just adding the juice of half of a lemon here, and then a sprinkle of salt. If you want to, you could add some oil or like tahini if you want, but I sort of wanted something that was very strongly acidic because the soup is nice and creamy, so it sort of gave me that balance while I was eating my meal, which I personally like. So after I massaged the kale, I also cooked up some of my crispy tempeh recipe in the air fryer. I'll link that below. I've shown you guys how to make it a few times on this channel, so I didn't want to be redundant. But I just divided the salad into serving bowls for me and Dylan and I, and then I topped it with crispy tempeh and some black pepper. It's a very easy salad. I liked it. It's definitely tangy, but I also really love my lemon flavor. So I had my salad, and then I also enjoyed a nice bowl of soup. To garnish this off, I added some fresh cilantro leaves and some diced jalapeno for a little bit of a kick as well. Oh, and then I also added some black pepper because I seem to add black pepper to everything nowadays, but I love this soup. I personally love eating soup in the summer. It's great cold too, so even if you don't like eating hot soup in the summer, this is an all-around great recipe. Oh, and I forgot about this. I had some of my sourdough that honestly was a flop. It's a little bit overproofed, but I had a nice piece of rye sourdough with my soup as well. So then for dessert, I had some more of those almond butter bars from the blog. Again, recipe link below. And Dylan and I also shared a bowl of cherries. So that's everything I ate in a day. Some, at least by my terms, relatively quick and easy summer meals. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it, leave a comment below. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.